now with coaches, staff, and referees, which are also an important aspect of our, of basketball. So welcome, Sophie. Let's get started.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, so we're going to start off with Buteyko breathing. Now, if anyone's heard of that, so I've trained with a guy by the name of Patrick McEwen. He's in Ireland. He's written a number of books, but the most known book is called The Oxygen Advantage. So if anyone's read Breathe or The Oxygen Advantage, you would have heard of Buteyko. What Buteyko is breathing through the nose instead of the mouth. So a lot of the time when you're coaching and watching kids play, you'll notice how many of them, and I would say at least 90%, are breathing through the mouth. So we're not actually taught how to breathe efficiently. When we breathe efficiently, it means breathing in through the nose and out through the nose and really zipping up the mouth. Now that becomes harder to do with high impact. So what we do, how we do the training is we just get people to walk and practice breathing through the nose to start with. But there's a couple of things that we're going to do in the next few minutes. One is unblocking the nose and checking if you can have flow. Sometimes it can be a mechanical thing with the structure of the nose, deviated septum, or that stops the flow. And there's stuff that you can do. If you ever watch professional athletes play, you'll notice a lot of them aren't huffing and puffing on the court. Then when you watch semi-professional, you might get your occasional professional player doing that, because what happens when we're over breathing and we're breathing through the mouth, we're losing a lot of water through the mouth. So droplets are constantly coming out and you get very thirsty, you'll get a dry mouth. And these kids are really, really thirsty. They're running around, not only are they sweating, but they're releasing a lot of the carbon dioxide out of the mouth. Now we need to have a bit of a tolerance to carbon dioxide for the body to work efficiently. And how that happens is if we're breathing through the nose, I just want you to take a breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And just notice as you breathe in, slightly cooler air going in and slightly warmer air coming out. So when we breathe through the nose, we actually create nitric oxide in the nose. Now, nitric oxide, not only does this, so the oxygen gets warmed going through the nose, it gets moistened going through the nose, and we have little nose hairs that sort of cut off a lot of bacteria. The nose is also connected to the diaphragm. So I will get you to stand up just so you can feel where we're breathing. The mouth is not connected to the diaphragm. The mouth is not connected to to this area that we actually need to get oxygen into to have efficiency in our body. So if you place your hands just at the base of your ribs, and I want you to breathe in through the nose. And as you're breathing in, I want to make sure that your lungs are filling up with air. It's like a balloon blowing up. So breathing in and out, and breathing in and out. Now, can everyone feel that when you're breathing in, you actually feel those muscles, you feel them expanding. Not only will you feel them expanding from the front, you'll feel them expanding from the side. Now breathe in through your mouth. I can't even breathe in through my mouth. I've trained my way of breathing. Now your tummy might be going in and out, but can you feel the breath going into your chest there? Your mouth is just an open hole. To have efficient breathing, we need to be breathing into the abdomen through the nose because it's connected. So that's the first key to having efficient breathing. The other reason why we're breathing through the nose in Buteyko is because there's an exchange of gases that we really need. So what happens is if we build our tolerance to the CO2 levels, if we're just breathing through the mouth, we're constantly blowing out CO2. Our bodies are oxygenated, but the oxygen levels are not going out to the tissues and muscles where we need them for the energy to sustain us during sport. So you might have trained yourself to be efficient in one game, but you'll be exhausted and you need recovery time because you're releasing weight, you're over breathing basically if you're only doing it through the mouth. When we breathe through the nose, we have this exchange. We build up a bit of tolerance. And this is what we do in Buteyko. I'm going to get you to practice a couple of these. We use exercises to build up our tolerance. When you build up the tolerance to CO2, it's called the Bohr effect. When you build it up, we get this exchange of gases. The CO2 builds up, and in the hemoglobin, the protein gets released, and that's the oxygen. The oxygen will get released from the cells, and that shoots out to the muscles and tissues. Without having a certain amount of CO2, that's not getting released. The hemoglobin is just holding on to the oxygen. So you're not getting that efficiency. You're not getting that optimum kind of oxygen level through the body. Your body is fully oxygenated, but you're not getting the release for the muscles and tissues to have been oxygenated efficiently. Does that all make sense? So the exercises, sorry, that's enough of the science side. I might bring it up now and then. But what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a couple of exercises that you can do to just start building up the tolerance. One thing we do in training, I also train in CrossFit, if anyone's familiar with CrossFit. And something that I noticed has really helped is to warm up the muscles, to warm up the tissues and muscles. Like a lot of people will do stretches, and I do all of that. I'm a yoga teacher as well. So I'm pretty efficient with my stretching. But the biggest gain I've had since doing Buteyko is with some breath holds to warm up my muscles. And I'll show you how to do that too. But first, we're going to check how the flow is through your nostrils. So I want you to block off one side, doesn't matter which side. And I want you to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. Breathing in, feeling the cooler air as it goes in. As you breathe out, noticing the warmer air as it goes out. And just paying attention to the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, cooler air. Breathing out, noticing the warmer air. Okay, now we're going to switch sides. So what we're checking for is the flow. You'll have one dominant side, just so you're aware of how you're breathing. Breathing in, cooler air, slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Breathing in, slightly cooler air. Breathing out, slightly warmer air. Breathing in, slightly cooler air. And breathing out, slightly warmer air. Now, can everyone feel a difference in the flow? Just give me a thumbs up if you felt one side was more efficient than the other. Like there was a definite difference. I'm just having a look at those people. Yeah, that's pretty normal. We all have that. We have a more dominant side. So what we're going to do something called decongesting of the nose. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. So if you have panic attacks, if you are prone to them, if you have high blood pressure or diabetes, just do some nice light breathing through the nose. You don't have to do this. It's quite difficult for me to see what's going on for everyone over Zoom. So if you don't feel comfortable doing this, just you can sit this one out. But if you're comfortable, what we're going to be doing, what we're looking for, we're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, and we're going to block the nose. And we're going to hold the breath until we find it's not a long hold. It's actually a timed hold. It's actually a measurement, and it's called either a BOLT score or a CP score, a control pause. We hold the nostrils, we block the nostrils, zip up the mouth. And what we're looking for is the first sign of the body contracting to want to breathe. So the first mechanical signal from your body, it needs to breathe. You might feel a little lump in your throat. You might feel your abdomen contracting. Whatever it is, let go. And we're just going to, instead of me doing it individually, has everyone got a phone handy? Can you get your phone out? And what I'm going to get you to do is actually time it. So as soon as you block your nose, hit your timer. As soon as you need to take that breath. Now, this is not a measurement of how fit you are. I need to be very clear with this. It's a measurement of how you're breathing. You can be extremely fit, you can be extremely active and still have a low CP score, because you're breathing, it could mean that there's some breathing disorder. It could mean that you're breathing through your mouth at night. It could mean snoring, sleep apnea. It could just mean that you've got, you're sometimes breathing through your mouth, sometimes breathing through your nose. So it's just not efficient. And what I'm going to get you to do, if you're wanting to do this, is actually take this measurement every morning and practice one of the exercises that I'm going to give you to actually just build your tolerance and see how you feel doing it. Because a lot of the time, sleep is a real problem if you're not breathing well through the nose. It can really interfere with your sleep. And that's pretty important. So getting your timers ready. So just on the second clock. So again, I'm going to ask you to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose. And then you can either just sway a little bit or stay still. And it's that first real kind of trigger to breathe. If you keep your breath, if you're trying to hold your breath a little too long, you'll end up having to take a bigger breath in. So you want to be at the stage when you unblock your nose that you just take a normal breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Really important that you always breathe in through the nose on the first breath and out through the nose when you release. And again, it's all to do with the nitric oxide. We can never have enough nitric oxide in the body, and we really need that. Okay. Everyone ready? Get your timer ready. So just have a finger sort of on the start button. So I'm going to get you to just sit up straight first, just like there's a string at the top of your head going all the way into the sky. And we're just really expanding our spine, and it's just so our abdomen has all the room that it needs. And we're going to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose, start timing. And it's just at the first sign. And just take notice. All right, great. Now, if you've taken down your CP score, so a good CP score, so efficient breathing is 20 and over. Now, I can tell you, most people will be way under that the first time they do it. And if you're doing it properly, it really is that first impulse to breathe. So sometimes I know when I started doing it, I knew what was being said to me, but I would hold it in a bit longer. And then I'd have to take almost a double breath as I went in again. So I've really learned to cut it back, and it's that first impulse. So this is your own measurement. And what we want to get to is 20 to 25, and then we want to get up to 40. Now that is actually done pretty easy. Like you'll notice a real improvement with a couple of the exercises that I'm going to give you. Now, is anyone feeling like they've got sinuses or their nose is a little bit blocked? Can you just want to have a look? Everyone's pretty clear. I'm going to show you something to do with your kids. Then if you'll still feel the benefit, you'll feel a better flow. So before a game, this is going to it might look a bit funny to some of you, but what we're going to do is decongest the nose. If anyone in your family or any of the kids that you train with or you coach, if any of them suffer from anything like rhinitis or asthma is another thing. We want to clear the nasal passage before they start any sport. So what you do, you breathe in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose, and you just kind of sway or shake. And then when you're ready, breathe in through the nose. You hold this longer than you do the CP or the Bolt score. You actually hold this as long as you can. And then when you release, you have to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Then we'll stop for a couple of seconds, and we're going to do this 3 times. And I want you to notice the flow. So it's really about opening up those airways. So really noticing the flow. So we'll do this one together. So breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose, and just sway. shake. And when you're ready, take a breath in and out. Okay, we're going to do it again. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose, shaking or swaying. And then breathing in through the nose when you're ready, out through the nose. And we're going to do it one more time. So again, breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose, shaking, swaying. And when you're ready, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And just go into a normal breath pattern. Now, can anyone feel the difference? Does anyone feel like there's a better flow? Just give me a thumbs up if you. Yeah. All right, good. We're going to do another little exercise. Now, this is about increasing your tolerance. So if this starts to feel, it can feel uncomfortable for some. It's such a new way. If you're being used to breathing through your mouth, you know, I was definitely breathing through my mouth before I started this practice. So it probably took me about 6 months to really change. And even now, when I'm doing high impact activities, I will go into mouth breathing. But I am trying to teach myself by drawing it back. If I'm not having to go too fast, I'll sort of bring down my pace and go back into nasal breathing. And then I'm slowly building that up. So it does take some time, but just taking walks and breathing through the nose is really beneficial. And one other exercise that I'll tell you about, it's not the one we're going to experience. The other one is, and you can do this one with kids, is actually going for a walk, breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, holding the breath and just counting the steps. And you can start off with 10 steps and you can make it a bit of a competition. So they start off with 10 steps. Can they do that? Yep, that was really easy. All right, get them to 12, 15, see if they can do 20. And this is for your own benefit as well. So as we increase those steps, you are increasing that tolerance to CO2. And especially with kids, hay fever, asthma, we have such a big asthma, you know, there's so many kids with asthma. So using the nose and learning how to control the breath is really, really important, because not only I'll do 2 more exercises. One will be cadence breathing, and that'll give you a really good idea of how, if one of the kids in the team, or it could be, you know, someone in your family or yourself, if anyone struggles with asthma, or if anyone struggles with anxiety. So this is a really good way to start calming the anxiety and start calming the nerves, using counting. Cadence breathing is counting. So we're going to do 2 exercises. The first one we're going to do is, I just wanted you to experience a little bit of light breath holding. So it's the tolerance. So it's going to feel like a bit of air hunger. I'm going to get you to block the nostrils again, just like we did before. So we're going to start off whichever one you want to try. And I want you to just breathe in through the nose, feeling the cooler air, slightly cooler air as it comes in, and just focusing on the slightly warmer air as it's going out. And breathing in, slightly cooler air. Breathing out, slightly warmer air. Breathing in, just noticing the breath with the slightly cooler air. Breathing out, slightly warmer air. And if you can, closing your eyes so you can really start to concentrate on this breath. Slightly cooler air as you're breathing in. Slightly warmer air as you breathe out. And now I'm going to start getting you to reduce the volume. So you're reducing about 30% of that breath. So it's a much lighter breath. So breathing in, slightly cooler air. Breathing out, slightly warmer air. Noticing the breath as it comes in and really feeling that slightly cooler air as it comes in. and slightly warmer air as it's going out. And I'll get you to drop your finger. Just, did anyone experience that air hunger when I asked you to reduce the volume? Were you able to do that? Just give me a thumbs up so I can sort of see. Was anyone struggling a bit? So not too much. So you don't want to go into a state where you don't feel like you're breathing, where your muscles start contracting. You just want to slowly reduce it. So by slowly reducing that air volume coming in, not only are you going to switch on your parasympathetic nervous system because you're slowing down the breath, you're slowing down the heart rate, you're then building up the CO2. It's the CO2 buildup that you're struggling with. So that's why it's a really good, just do it lightly and slowly and release when you've had enough. And then I would take a minute or two and then go back into it. I would probably practice that for about 5 minutes, maybe 3 times a day to start with, and see how you go. And then using that measurement, so the CP score, that when we time it, so breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, block the nose, time it until the first bodily reaction to want to breathe. When you feel that, that is your time. I would make a note of that every day. If you could do it at the same time, I would suggest doing it first thing in the morning before you jump out of bed, before your body starts moving. Do that and practice this one exercise. The other exercise that I really want to show you, and this is a great exercise, you can do it as box breathing. If you've ever heard of box breathing, Navy SEALs, I mean, it's pretty much all over YouTube. If you typed it in, box breathing, what we're doing is cadence breathing, which is pretty much the same thing, except what I'm going to give you a variation of numbers to play with and see what is comfortable for you. This is a really good calming technique, and it's a way to actually start after a game, or if you are nervous before the game. And it can even be used during the game. It can be used as you're you know, if you're coaching a child that gets quite nervous at the free throw line, and you'll be able to see it. You probably get to know the kids really well, and you'll sort of see it in their face. They may have missed one before and they're not feeling, it's not looking like they're feeling too confident. I would get them to focus on this breathing. So how we do it is, again, through the nose. So we're really practicing breathing through the nose. The first way we're going to do it is to the count of 4. So we're going to breathe into the count of 4. So just getting comfortable in your chair, making sure your spine is straight so that abdomen has lots of room to get that oxygen in. So we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold the breath, 2, 3, 4. Now just breathe normally. I'm going to give you 2 more variations and just see what you're comfortable with. And it's a good way to sort of, the next 2 variations are going to be, we're going to count in, the first one is a count in for 3, holding the breath for 4, counting and then breathing out for 6, and then holding the breath for 4 again. So just getting comfortable. And I want you to sort of balance out and get a feel for what you're comfortable with. So we're going to start breathing in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you feel different? Did anyone, just give me a thumbs up. Did anyone feel that was not enough breath in? Or were you comfortable with that? So most people were pretty comfortable with that one. Okay. Oh, one person. Yep. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a longer count in. So why we have the exhale going longer. So the perfect breath is a 5.5 to a 6-minute breath. I don't know if you're already familiar with the perfect breath, and that's really slowing down the heart rate. That's turning on your parasympathetic nervous system. So that rest, relax, digest part of the nervous system. So what we're trying to do is really just take control and start to be able to manipulate our nervous system. So when we're feeling quite high and anxious, or there's a pressure moment, we want to be able to practice bringing it down to a real controlled, I'm in control of my body state. So we're going to practice breathing in. We'll try this one. We'll try breathing in for the count of 5. We're going to hold for the count of 5. We're going to breathe out for 7 this time and hold. You can also breathe out for 8. I wouldn't go more than 2 or 3 on your breathing out. So you can play with the numbers and see what is comfortable within your own body. And I would suggest when you really get comfortable with some of the numbers, I would change it up and get uncomfortable again. So what you're trying to do again is build up slight the intolerance to that CO2 level again, building up, because the more we can build that up, the more, again, efficient our body's going to become when we're doing our sport, our exercise, and even thinking, even if, for school, just thinking and having a clear mind, that nitric oxide is going to help clear your mind. All right, so we'll try the 5, holding for 5. We're going to breathe out for 7, hold for 5. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, did anyone feel that they didn't have enough breath for the out breath? Just give me a thumbs up. Or was everyone okay with that one? So everyone was okay, I think. Yeah, that's great. So that could be a really good that could be a really good number system to keep practicing, because if we can, so the box breath is really the, 4x4 or 5x5. You could do it as a 5x5. But when we start to increase the exhale, we're really going to start to slow down the heart rate, and it's a good recovery way. And it's a good way to get into the body as well. Just counting and breathing is a really good way to just fall into the body, and you just focus on the breath. So if you had a kid just taking some shots and you wanted them to practice focus, I would get them to focus on the breath. Because when you tell, any kind of student, just focus, their mind's just going to go on, they're just going to start thinking about all sorts of things. I would be very specific on what to focus on. All right. We are going to go into, I think that's all for the Buteyko. I'm going to get you to just get comfortable. If you want to just have a quick sip of water, a drink of any sort before we get comfortable doing the sophrology session. Because during this session, you're pretty much just going to be standing, doing some tension release, and then sitting for most of it. Something I said yesterday about the thoughts. One thing to really remember, and I love this, is when we're working with kids, I would get them to really start to notice what they're giving meaning to, especially on the sports field. So I mentioned yesterday about, if they're having an off day and then a friend sort of says, oh, you can't shoot. Unfortunately, these thoughts can stick with an athlete, for whatever reason, you know, you think of the good and the bad, and in those pressure moments, these thoughts can come in. So how I would actually try to get rid of those sort of thoughts is by getting them to understand, where did the thought come from? So we actually, the moment you give something meaning, so the moment someone says something to you and you go, oh, are they right? I can't shoot. Then you believe it. So I would make sure that the kids, when they're hearing comments, they don't take it in. So it's just let them understand that what someone else says doesn't necessarily mean what they think it means. It actually belongs to the other person. Does that make sense? I don't want to go too deep into it, but what it means is the moment, basically, as soon as you hear something and you give it meaning, you believe it. So be careful what you listen to, be careful what you make meaning of, and focus on making meaning of the things that feel good in the body. You know, the good experiences, rather than the poor performance that you carry around for, you know, 10 games. So we need to find a way to let that go and not give that meaning, because you can't improve if you're stuck in a place. So we really want to just keep that part light and then just move on from it. All right, we're going to get comfortable. I am going to get comfortable as well. So again, this exercise, there's in sophrology, if I mention the word system, we do break up the body into systems, but I'll explain what the systems are. So the head is the first system, the neck, the outer arm and the hands is the second system. The third system is broken down between the chest and the sternum and all the internal organs, front and back included. The fourth system is between the sternum and the navel, that area there, and the internal organs. The fifth system is from the navel down to the toes, all of the legs. And then the sixth system is at the navel. There is, when we do the tension release, after we do the tension release, I'm going to ask you to release the tensions from your body, and that's just breathing out tensions. If you like, you can bring your hands to the different systems, and I'll say breathe out through the first system, the head. And in this, we are breathing out. You can breathe out through the mouth in this part of sophrology. You can breathe out through the second system, bringing the hands to the center of the neck. Third system, center of the chest. Fourth system, just that sternum area, breathing out. The fifth system is just below the navel, and the sixth system is at the navel. So if you forget any of that, I wouldn't worry about it. What you can do is just breathe out through the navel, regardless of the system I'm talking about. All right. So for this exercise, I stand up in front of my chair with my feet shoulder distance apart, and I'll get you to just stand up, making sure the chair is just behind you, because you will take a seat again. Getting comfortable. This is our first level position. So we're working in the first level of sophrology. There are different levels. So I'm going to get you to close your eyes and just take 3 nice breaths in and out through the nose. I stand up in front of my chair, my feet shoulder distance apart, my knees slightly bent. I close my eyes so that I can concentrate better on myself. I become aware of my body upright between the earth and the sky. I become aware of my roots, the shape, the color, the taste, the smell, the sound. I become aware of sounds far away, of sounds nearer at hand, and of sounds from my own body, my breathing or my heartbeat. And I welcome those sounds as being part of life without trying to work out what they are. And then turning my attention to my head, the first system, everything that's happening, just noticing all the physical sensations that are happening within the head. I turn my attention to the second system, the neck, the shoulders, the outer arms and hands, and noticing all the physical sensations, anything that you can feel. I turn my attention to the third system, the chest area, up to the sternum and the internal organs, noticing all the physical sensations as you scan this part of the body. I turn my attention to the fourth system between the sternum and the navel and all the internal organs, noticing all the physical sensations. The fifth system from the navel all the way down to the toes, noticing anything that you feel, all the physical sensations. And the sixth system at the navel, the whole body, awareness of the weight of the body, the temperature of the body, the size of the body. And then breathing out fully, emptying the stomach and lungs. Breathing in fully through the nose, and I lift my hands above my head and I clench my fists and I tense, 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 a little bit more, tense and release. Releasing with the breath, bringing the hands to the integration point of the first system, breathing out any tensions, breathing out any tensions that remain in the second system at the neck, breathing out any tensions. Center of the chest, breathing out any tensions. The sternum, breathing out any tensions. Below the navel, the fourth system. And the sixth system, sorry, I missed one. The whole body, just breathing out any remaining tensions, both mental and physical. And then feeling for the chair behind, sitting down again. Sitting at the back of the chair, if you can, we call this an integration position. And I'm going to get you to start visualizing. So sitting comfortably in your chair. Notice the breath as if the whole body is breathing. Breathing and renewing. And I want you to think of a time, whether it was this season or last season, and just go back to a time of playing basketball, coaching basketball, umpiring, and a time that felt really good. A happy moment. It could have been taking a shot. And I want you to notice where this feeling sits within the body. It could have been the team winning an important game. And I just want you to pay attention to where you're feeling that in the body and start feeling all the physical sensations. And coming back into the body, noticing the breath. And now we're going to bring energy into the body. Breathing in vital energy into the fifth system, the legs. As you breathe out, allowing this energy to diffuse within the whole system. Breathing in vital energy into the fourth system between the navel and the sternum. And as you breathe out, diffusing this within the system while breathing out. Breathing in energy up into the third system, the chest, underarms, and the palms. And breathing out, allowing this energy to just permeate into each and every part of the system. Breathing in energy up into the second system, the neck, the shoulders, and now the arms. And as you breathe out, allowing this energy to permeate the system. Breathing in energy up into the first system, the head. And again, breathing out, permeating the energy throughout the first system. Becoming very aware of the energy in the whole body. Breathing in energy into the body, breathing out and allowing this energy to diffuse out of each and every part of the body. We're going to go into an integration pause again, just relaxing in your chair and just noticing all the physical sensations that you're now feeling. We're just going to place our hands just where I showed you at the bottom of the ribs. And we're going to just notice breathing in to the abdomen and breathing out. And following the breath down really low. And now I'm going to get you to notice speeding up the breath and slowing it down. And dropping the hands and going back to an integration position and noticing everything that's happening in the body now. And I'm going to get you to visualize another part of the game, another good memory, another moment. It could be taking a shot. And I want you to experience that moment with each sense. So the smell, the sight, the hearing, if there's a taste, experience with every sense. Let the colors be vivid. Let the sound echo into the head. And then coming back into the body and noticing all the physical sensations that you're feeling. And now we're going to become aware of the skin of the body. As I breathe in, I become aware of each and every skin cell, all the cells in my skin, the shape and the presence of the cells. And as I breathe out, I just feel gratitude. I send gratitude to the cells, where I can imagine cells smiling. I can imagine the cells smiling and me smiling at them and them smiling back. As I breathe in, I become aware of the shape and the presence of the cells. As I breathe out, it's just gratitude. I become aware of the force of the energy, the life force energy that's in my skin then and in the skin now. And then I go back to a time when the skin was being formed in the embryonic stage. And I become aware of the force of the energy, the life force energy that's in the skin then. This energy that created the skin. And I become aware of this energy still within the skin at present day, rejuvenating and recreating the skin. And then I become aware that this energy is still present in the future, that my skin is full of this creative energy force. I become aware of the vibration of this energy within the skin now. And an integration pause, awareness of everything that's happening in the body now. Just noticing all the physical sensations. We're going to do an exercise, and this is adapted from Dr. Schultz's training, and this is the modified autogenetic training. So I become aware of a place where I feel very calm and relaxed. Now, this could be by the river. It could be somewhere in your house. It could be by the ocean. Just a place where you feel very calm and relaxed. And bring that to mind and notice it again with your vision. You might hear the sounds. If it's in the sun, you might feel the sun shining down. And when I'm in this place, I actually say in my head, I feel very calm. I'm completely calm and relaxed. I feel very calm. I'm completely calm and relaxed. And just repeat these words a little bit like a mantra. As I enjoy being in this calm and relaxing place, now I'm going to experience the weight of my body. And for that, I focus on my right arm. I become aware of my right arm. My right arm is becoming heavier and heavier, as if being pulled by the center of the earth. My right arm is becoming heavier and heavier, heavier and heavier. My right arm feels like it's being pulled by the center of the earth. It's heavier and heavier until it's just a nice heavy weight. And then I notice my left arm. And I notice that my left arm is becoming heavier and heavier. My left arm becomes heavier and heavier, as if I'm being pulled by the center of the earth. Both arms are very, very heavy, heavier and heavier, as if being pulled by the center of the earth. Now I become aware of my right leg. I become aware that my right leg is becoming heavier and heavier and heavier, as if being pulled by the center of the earth. Heavier and heavier still. And then my left leg is becoming heavier and heavier. Both legs are heavy, as if being pulled by the center of the earth, heavier and heavier. My arms and my legs are heavy. Now I create an image and associate my experience of the weight with an image. Allow the image to appear that represents the weight that I feel in my arms and my legs. Now I focus again on my arm, my right arm. It's becoming warmer, as if being warmed by the rays of the sun. I feel the sun shining on my right arm, permeating the skin, the cells of the right arm, becoming warmer and warmer. Beautiful sun's rays warming my right arm. I become aware of my left arm. My left arm, the sun is now shining on my left arm too. The left arm is getting warmer and warmer. Both arms are warm. Sun is shining on both my arms. Becoming very warm. And then my right leg. I become very aware that my right leg, the sun is now shining on my right leg. Becoming warmer and warmer, as if being warmed by the rays of the sun. And the sun is now shining on my left leg. My left leg is becoming warmer and warmer, as if being warmed by the rays of the sun. My right leg and my left leg are warm. My arms and my legs are warm. Warm as if being warmed by the rays of the sun. And now I allow an image to appear that represents this warmth in my body. Associate the experience of the warmth with an image. And then I focus on my heart. Feel my heart beating. I sense my heart beating. And as my heart is beating, I think to myself, my heart beats calmly, fully, totally, regularly, and strongly. My heart is beating calmly, fully, totally, regularly, and strongly. My heart is beating regularly, fully, totally, strongly. My heart and my body beat in the same rhythm. My body and my heart are beating in the same rhythm, calmly, fully, totally. I become my heart. I live in my heart. I become my heart. My heart and myself are one, the same thing. I am the beating of my heart. I associate this rhythm my heart and my body beat with an image. Become aware of the image that represents the beating of my heart. And I take an integration pause again. I become very aware of everything that's happening in my body right now. Noticing all the physical sensations. And then I activate 3 of my capacities. As I breathe in, I activate my capacity to have confidence in myself and trust myself. As I breathe in, I activate my capacity to harmonize my mind, my body, and my spirit. As I breathe in, I activate my capacity to create a positive future full of well-being. And now, still keeping those feelings of well-being discovered during the exercise, I begin to stretch my body and move my body in a way that my body feels like moving and stretching. I take all the time that I need, and when I'm ready, and only when I'm ready, I open my eyes and I write up my experience in my journal or just on a sheet of paper, just writing a few lines. And when we write the thoughts that we have, especially in those integration periods of the physical sensations. We're integrating the mind and the body more. And if you'd like to turn on your mics, you're welcome to do so. You're going to feel quite relaxed. So we do go into, like I said, quite a relaxed state. And we do tap into, the reason we do that is to tap into that subconscious. And when we tap into that subconscious, that's our programming. So if you really want to change some programming, because we have all these beliefs and some of them are habitual, which mean they come from possibly childhood. The way to really start to create a new pattern, the first thing is to practice and to practice firing and talking this new pattern out. So a new belief even. So if you've got an old belief of I'm not good enough and you want to replace it with I can do this, have a visualization, have the feeling of doing it through the senses, and start practicing the visualization with the words. So you've got a real anchor, or even just I'm calm if you feel anxious a lot of the time, using that heartbeat going into when you're taking that shot, you can use this on the court, going into the body, doing the breath work first, and telling yourself, I'm calm, I'm relaxed. And if you practice that with bringing on an image when you're doing, you can use a recording like this. When you practice that over and over again, you start to rewire the brain and you start to create these new neural pathways in the brain. And then that starts to fire when you need it. If you've practiced it enough, it becomes your automatic thought. And that's what we want to get to. You want to be able to bounce that ball and know that shot's going in because your body has practiced it enough physically. You need to do the physical practice, but enough mentally as well that you are able to calm the thoughts. There's no more thoughts. And it's just the body taking control, and the body knows what to do. The body's always listening. And that's why we have to be careful about the thoughts, because those thoughts go straight into the body. Any questions? Or
I got a couple of questions for you, Sophie. Is that
Sure.
okay?
Yeah.
I wrote down a couple. So there's a lot of coaches on the call, so they might like this one. So have you got a tip for, like, after a bad game? So coaches will go home and they'll feel very anxious or a bit disappointed or whatever it may be from the game. Have you got a good tip for them, maybe for the car ride home, or for what they could do when they get home to maybe just relax and calm down a little bit, because after a bad one?
It is really good. I actually had this here, so I'm going to read this out. Emotions are not you. They do not belong to you. They are information. It looks like I've rehearsed this or you've actually asked this, but it's not the case. I just had this here. Emotions are not you. They do not belong to you. They are the information that the body and mind are bringing to your consciousness. So in other words, you've had a bad game. You haven't had a good experience. You don't want to keep that. You want to be able to learn from it. And the only way to learn from it is not to get stuck in that experience. So my suggestion would be saying the words, it's not personal. This is not a personal, it's playing that game and not winning that game doesn't mean that we can't win a game. It means that we didn't work well as a team, or we actually tried really hard, and we can acknowledge that the other team, they've obviously, they've been able to perform at a better standard in today's game. And that's something that we look at, and that's something that we learn from. So if you're constantly putting it into the frame where, we can learn this, we may not have got there today, but, take note of what worked on the court, and and what worked for the other team. You need to start absorbing. It's like, if you ask the kids to open up a parachute, they're going to be open-minded. If you take the parachute as the mind, you want them to open that parachute. If the parachute's closed, the mind's not going to absorb. So I think the best thing to do if something doesn't go your way on the day is to be open-minded enough and to train these kids to be open-minded that, we can do better and to believe that they can do better. That's the first step. You may not have got here today, but, you can, and I would give the experience of growth, because I think every athlete has their own growth. And you'll see the ones who are out there practicing, and you can see the growth in those ones, and you can see the kids that their mind is just in the way. It's not doing them any good. Their mind is so busy worrying about what everyone's thinking of them. So in those instances and I've had this personal experience, and Fab knows this with my own son, where he felt like he's let the team down. And we're all going to have those moments in sport where you feel you've let others down. I think what's really important is to say, hey, that's not personal. That wasn't your loss, because a team is a team, good or bad. And so when it's like a collective, it's the connection point, of bringing everyone together, and everyone supports whatever happened. And now we move from here. And I hope that answers the question. But it's really, it's a mindset. So you need to change those brain patterns, and you need to change that way of thinking, and that negative thought taking over. Because what happens is, with especially teenagers, they go home and they're overthinking it. So the best advice is to not think about it. Let it go for today. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I wouldn't even mention it in the car ride home. I would actually let it go and go, tough game today. Let's let it go. Let's talk about it tomorrow when we're fresh. The last thing you want to do is reinforce anything that didn't work, because that's what's going to play that night. You need to let it go, focus on other things for the night, and regroup, because when the brain's fresh, you're going to get a much better result.
Got one more question for you.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of admin staff on the call, and everyone here, would understand this with working lives. But do you have any suggestions or tips as well for, we deal with a lot of people in the club, so we might take a lot of phone calls and a lot of difficult people, or we might deal with them. And sometimes I know when I've had those instances, I put the phone down or I walk away, and I don't feel great, and it can affect the rest of my work day. Do you have any tips, anything that you could provide?
Absolutely. Yeah, you need to use something called a pause. So, and we should be doing this in our general day as well. So what happens, we go from one situation into the next. So it could be one telephone call to the next, and you're carrying the emotion from the last situation. You use the breath. So it can be something as simple as bringing yourself back into the body and feeling the physical sensations, doing a body scan. You could even just do a body scan. You use the breath. You could do the cadence breathing. So what happens is, when we're triggered, our emotions, basically we have a chemical release. Now, chemical releases into the body, like cortisone, if you're stressed, if someone stresses you out, that gets released, and it's a 90-second rush of chemicals in the body. If you are keeping that emotion, if you are keeping that upset or anger more than that, 90 seconds, that's you holding on to something. But if you can recognize, all right, this person's really agitated me or really frustrated me, just use your breath, breathe it out, do any kind of breathing technique that you're already familiar with. Don't try and learn something new in that moment. And the other thing is, there's a really good saying in moments like that, and this is really good for staff to understand. When someone's giving you their anger, that's their anger. You can either accept that or not accept it. When you don't accept it, there's a good Buddha saying, when someone's trying to give you a present and you don't accept it, where does it go? So the present is their anger, their upset. If you don't accept that and you don't take it personally, the only way it can get to you is if you're taking it personally. They hit a nerve. they're making you wrong. So if you don't accept it, they have to sit with it. You get off the call and you think, oh, that's their stuff. I did my best. So it's those little thought patterns, training yourself to go, that's their stuff. Unless you could have done something better, and then you take responsibility, because you'll always feel better taking responsibility. But if there's nothing you can do for this person, and I would definitely just go, all right, that's their stuff. I did my best. Hopefully they can sit with that and release it. It's up to them, but you don't take it on. But then the next thing you do is actually doing breathing. You go into the body, you release. And when you go into a new situation, you always look at it as if it's the first time. If you look at it, if you go into every moment, take a pause, have a breath, just do some light breathing, go into the next moment and go, this is new. These are new people, never had this experience before, even though it's familiar, because it's a familiar scenario. If it's a new person you've never met, you've never spoken to, it's actually new. It's not, you shouldn't be dragging an old experience into this conversation. A lot of the time we do. So you have to recognize going into anything new, every phone call, every new meeting, it's new. Go in with curiosity and wonder, and go in with the intention of, oh, let's see what, is going to happen here. Even though you may feel like you know what's going to happen, when you bring in those preconceived judgments and beliefs, you're setting yourself up for the same experience. You want to stop having the same experience in your day if you've had a bad experience. So you need to cut it off, have a pause, breathe, leave it with them, and then go in fresh and new.
Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to turn your mic on and ask away before we finish.
Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
Another Sophie. I just wanted to ask one, as I know you're talking about the cadence breathing, and when it comes to performance anxiety and that kind of stuff, I know kids and myself with my sport and stuff, I have suffered with that performance anxiety. And I know that breathing, and there's those techniques of like alphabet, those little mind distractors, as something, as a build up before a game, a training or something. I know you, even if it's a reminder of that cadence breathing, that those patterns or something, just kind of some advice around that.
Yeah, so breathing. So what we want to do is take control. But the thing is, you need to be practicing these outside of, that pressure moment. You have to be when you're at home, and make a regular practice, because you want this to become automatic. So you go into that moment, and it's good to feel a little bit anxious, because what you take, that chemical that's released when you feel a little bit of stress, that can also be excitement. So what you tell your brain, what you tell your body in those moments is, I'm excited. If you haven't got full control over the breath, it's the same chemical release. Switch it and get excited about the game. Switch it from feeling nervous to excitement. Because again, the body doesn't know any different. What you're telling the body to believe, it's going to believe if you practice it enough. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
You actually reminded me, I was going to show, I don't know if anyone's interested, that warm-up technique of getting the body oxygenated, and that can be done. It can be done just jogging on the spot. So all you do is you get your team to just run on the spot, hold the breath, and then when they need to take another breath, unless someone's really suffering from panic attacks, I wouldn't get them to do this. If they're in a really nervous state, don't get them to do it. So just check in with them first. But if everyone's feeling pretty good, I would get them to run, hold the breath, and then when they need to take another breath, breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. But they have to be active. And what they'll find is, some of them might find that their legs turn to a bit of, if you do it up to 6 times, it actually warms up the whole body. So it's a really good technique to just get the body going and get the oxygen levels and the energy levels in the body increased before a game. And then when you do something like that, it's actually really good for the recovery afterwards as well, because you've warmed up the body properly and you've oxygenated the body properly. So you've got, less resistance after the event, and, for that body to stiffen up. And all of these techniques, if anyone's interested, the Oxygen Advantage has these, and then you can get more. There's another, the Breathing Cure book, but it's really the Oxygen Advantage that you'll learn a lot of these techniques in. Obviously, doing the training, you learn a lot more, but there's enough if you wanted to take, you know, a few of the Buteyko exercises in for your own benefit and for the team. There's enough in that book to get you going. Or you can come and see me. I can do some, you know, personal work as well.
Any other questions? Cool.
It was really beneficial, and yeah, even with distractions in the background with kids and dog and everything, it was just to float off. And yeah, so it was so helpful, and yeah, I can see it working in your teams and coaching and everything as well. So yeah, thanks very much. Really
you're very welcome. That's awesome. And I really think, you know, getting them to, if you want to relax your team, getting to feel the body, just guide them into feeling the heat, feeling the bodily sensations. They're feeling the weight and the temperature, and then get them to bring an image in. Once they look pretty relaxed, that's when you bring the image in, because it's like an anchor point. If they practice that enough, they could have an image to keep them calm on the court when they need it. So you want to, like I said, you want to get into the flow state. There's a real fine line between being relaxed and then going into that fight or flight. You need to be in that neutral, because there's just this little moment, and a lot of you may have experienced, I know I've experienced this. You have this moment in a sport where it's just working and it almost slows down. You know, it could be just throwing a ball to one of your teammates, and it's the perfect throw. It's that flow state. It just goes exactly where it needs to go, and the job's done. And to get into that flow state, you need the body working. You need a little bit of adrenaline, but you need to be able to calm the mind. And so all these techniques really help. The more you practice, the more the brain, the mind sort of allows the body to have some control, and you have control over your nervous system, which is really beneficial.
But also the fact, I think, that you're showing that you care about them outside of sport. So beyond the court stuff's really great, but actually you're giving them strategies that can help them in life, because we're going to have kids coming back to the teams that are just struggling so much, you know, outside, and then this is just one thing that may be too much. But just putting this forefront, if every coach could do it, I think just, yeah.
You know what? It's a brilliant, it's a real lovely way to get the team connected as well. So just doing some visualizations, and, you know, there's so much in this sort of work, and there's so much individually what they would get out of understanding their own bodies and how they're feeling emotionally and where they're storing emotions. I do a lot of sessions where, like yesterday's session, Jordan can actually, you know, let you know about that. And I think you can try that one as well. That's mood lifting. And what I get them to do is actually feel a good moment and really experience it with all the senses. And then you take away the visual, you take away the sound from the mind, and you just understand where that sits in the body. So you understand where you store happiness. Now, once you really get to know where you store happiness, it's a feeling that you can bring on. So helping kids to understand where they do, and as we work, like in sophrology, we work through stages. So eventually we get to those stages of anger, which is generally a secondary, it's a secondary emotion to sadness. So they sort of go hand in hand. So if you've got a kid that seems quite angry, don't see the anger, see what's behind the anger, because that's the secondary emotion. So I would really focus on how are they feeling, and try to understand. So if they can understand themselves better, then they can self-regulate as well. So all these sort of techniques, any kind of mindfulness is going to help.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No. Well, I think that's it for this evening. So I just want to say thank you. I've really enjoyed the experience of working with the club. It's been awesome, and my kids are part of this club. So, you know, we're very fortunate to be in this area. So I just want to thank Jordan for reaching out and letting me do this.
Thank you very much, Sophie. It was amazing session. All the sessions were amazing. Tonight's was, I think everyone would agree, really great too. Yeah. So really thank you for giving up your time. Really appreciate it. And we hope everyone stays safe, and hopefully we're all back on the court and back around the club very, very soon.
Yeah. And just on, sorry, I forgot to mention this. If anybody wants to, I've got just a general session, which is this exact one. If anyone knows of the app, Insight Timer, that's just gone live as one of the tracks on there. So if you have the app, Insight Timer is a meditation, mindfulness. They have mindful music. There's all sorts of things happening on that app. It's a global app. This track, and it's called, I think I've named it, you'll see Sophrology. You can look up my name and you'll see some of the tracks on there, and it's all free. So you can just use this as a guided session whenever you want. So that's available. So Insight Timer, you just download the app. It's a free app. And then you have lots and lots of teachers from around the world. And this one, sorry, it's called, I think I've named it, because we call it the tram when we're working with clients, but I've named it self-awareness and stress reduction, just for the general public. I can send you the link to that too, if you want to see.
Yeah, if you can flick me that, what I'll do is I'll give everyone the link to the video so they can rewatch, and the other videos for the mood lifting session with the links and the information.
Yeah, there's a mood lifting.
Send that out.
Yep. There's also a audio mood lifting session on Insight Timer as well.
Awesome. Well, we can send that out. Let's enjoy the rest of the night, and let's not keep people too much longer. It's a Friday night, so we've got lots of places to go.
Absolutely.
Stay safe, everyone. See you all soon. Thanks for jumping on the call.
Great job, Sophie.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, Sophie.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.